Marcel. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, great. Doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you've got this company, WOP. I've not heard of it, but I definitely want to go do the Candy Mapper Challenge. We'll talk about that offline, but I
Okay,
definitely
cool.
want to see how it works. And so, Marcel, I know you're coming to us from Prague. Am I correct? Out of the Czech Republic.
Yeah,
Am I correct?
you're right. I'm based in Prague in Czech Republic. Last
Excellent.
15 years or so.
Ah, fantastic. You and I have a little bit of a shared heritage. My grandfather was Czech as well. He
I
always
see.
said he was a Bohemian. I don't know what that all meant, but I have some
Uh-huh.
sort of insurance policy from the Czechoslovaks of America. So
Wow.
and but I can't speak any language or anything like that. That's all I got. It was my grandfather,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
he was a great guy. So, Marcel, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, so my name is Marcel Veselka. I'm a tester since 2004, and last 2 or 3 years I'm building autonomous testing tool, and I will probably talk about the topic, and I will cover the topic in my talk and explain some ideas behind. And apart from that, I don't know what I should talk about. Maybe I love to run and test
Oh
not
yeah,
only software and also wine.
yeah.
And what else?
It's actually Marcy. It's entirely up to you. If you got slides, PowerPoint slides. Usually we just let you run. This is your
Uh-huh.
first time up here. If you're cool with that, and if you want to share a screen. So I will say I'm going to turn it over to you because you're doing AI powered test automation, and you're going to be talking about building bots in Playwright. And
Yeah.
I just want to make I'm actually looking into Playwright it myself right now. I'm actually doing a
Uh-huh.
course on it. So, Marcel, I'm going to turn it over to you and
Perfect.
take it away.
Great. I'll try to share my screen now. Let me see. Okay. First, no. Screen. I hope now you can see my screen. Let me quickly check the chat. Could someone tell me that you can see my screen? And I need to swap that, right? Swap. Now it should be fine. So let's start. So thank you very much again that you invited me to talk about my passion and something I'm working on last few years. And it'll be AI-powered test automation and how to build a bot in Playwright. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Marcel Veselka. As I said, I am based in Prague, and since 2004, I was working in various positions in software testing. Last 3 years, I am working on the idea of autonomous testing. We found a startup called WOPI, WOPI.io, and the mission there is that we will turn testing into, I sometimes say, Spotify experience, but instead of getting the music, you would get the test report. So from the URL, we will generate everything to deliver the users' favorite test cases and then test reports, which would cover all the results from the test execution. I would like to talk about how to build a bot with Playwright, and this will be some kind of journey or story about how we are developing it and how far we went with that. I will cover the original idea and explain what is the autonomous testing and how we are trying to bring that idea into the projects or to our customers and community. Then I will be talking about some recent moves and new ideas, which are AI agents, and everyone is talking about it. But my motivation here is that I will give you some quick intro to explain how it works and how you could benefit from it. And I will have some short demos to show you how it works. And at the end, I will just slightly touch the future. To be honest, I don't know what will happen, but maybe I will just tell you or share with you my ideas, what I could see already on horizon. So let me start first with the idea, with the first initial idea and motivation why I decided to spend my next couple of years on this topic. So I was running a software testing company where some of the customers were saying, okay, we already mastered test automation. What would be the next? How we could improve what we already have? And I was invited to deliver a couple of workshops in that area. And one of the topic there was autonomous testing. So let me first explain, and I fall in love with the idea. So now I would like to share that with you as well. So what's the autonomous testing, or what is the definition of autonomous testing? Many people say that it's something like humanless and AI powered or AI augmented. And this is very high level definition. I will go deeper and deeper and we will end up on the code level. But this is very basic definition of autonomous testing. And if you look at this definition, you might find out that it's not completely removal of that, or I would say humanless for me, it's less humans rather than anything else. We can discuss maybe at the end whether you could see it there as well. And AI is something we already have around us and we can easily apply that. If we look back what happened in the past, and you might remember that we had some manual testing in the past, and then someone says, we cannot keep up anymore. We need to introduce something more clever. So someone brings the idea of test automation, and we just follow that approach and idea. And at the beginning, it was pretty raw. It was so painful to find out how to set it up. But after some decades, now I feel the industry itself is now heavily capable to automate the tests, which could be automated. But a lot of people start saying around the year of 2010 that there is a new era, or maybe a new movement, which they call autonomous testing. And this is still a shaking topic where you might find out that sometimes people are saying this is not a new era, this is nothing special, it's just better test automation, it's AI powered test automation. Someone is saying no, we need to completely change the approach and the way how we are dealing with automation, and that need to be completely rebuilt. It's something like, and I was discussing this with Jason Arbon, that it's maybe the transformation from horses to cars rather than anything else. Maybe not. We are just building the quicker horses only. But these are the three stages. I was trying to explain why that autonomous testing might be interesting. It's coming to software testing, or actually it came among us. And now the question is how we could succeed, or how this could be beneficial for us. And I'll be talking soon about that. So let's move on now to the next slide. I was just trying to quickly cover the ideas of this manual testing, test automation, and autonomous testing. And you might find on the slide that there are multiple already existing tools, free, open source, free, sometimes are not even dedicated for testing like Excel, but we were using that in the past to help ourselves to make the testing more efficient. And people are still keep building these tools. And I felt like, okay, I would like to contribute as well. That's why we found the company. So I felt, okay, we might help people to make this approach more efficient and better. And before I will go that, this is not only my idea. There was a lot of other, or there are already a lot of other companies talking about this. And one of the companies is Gartner. And if you look, or I follow them for a couple of years, and they are predicting that this new approach, they call it in past autonomous testing, later they change their mind and rename it to AI augmented testing, that it will be very soon ready to be used across entire industry. And the prediction in 2023 was that it's here in 2 to 5 years, or it might still die because there is this valley of death in the middle of my slide, where some ideas are just end up and they are not able to move this to move to this plateau of productivity, which is actually when the idea move there over this hype cycle, it means that it's just there is no any innovation. It's standard production ready approach we could use. So you could see that also other industry leaders start talking about that a few years ago, and it's still here. And I think this is just, or this was just beginning of the entire movement or era. And many other companies start talking about some levels of test autonomy and so on. I will skip this to move to something more concrete or practical. So how to build a bot or autonomous agent, as we call it these days. So in order to build this kind of testing bot or testing agent, we need to handle somehow automatically or autonomously interaction and validation. And this is not only about writing the script to do so, because this is the traditional test automation, but how to even build that code to interact and validate the application. And it might be different for various components we are testing. And it might be also different for various data types we want to cover with this approach. So if we could find out how we could autonomously interact with app and then autonomously validate the functionality or some data quality or some performance parameters, then we could have this autonomous testing available. So I would like to start with some first experiment we did. So we did first was some, in these days I'm calling it was stupid crawler. In that time I was super proud of it. So we just crawl the app, collect the screenshots, and then we compare them. So having this map of all that network of all the screens and everything, then we could easily say that we have the autonomous testing bot, because if I collect the screenshots and then I rerun the test and screens changed, I could see that there are some regressions and potential bugs. So I could easily run these 6 simple regression tests, collecting the screens, and then compare them. This was pretty raw, and I would say, and I have to admit, in three years ago, a bit maybe stupid idea, but it worked. We were happy about it, and we started trying to use and experiment it across multiple projects, and collecting the feedback and keep improving it, adding some features like the bot was able to log in, or we could accept the cookie banner, and so on. So we were trying to maintain this, but we then later found out that autonomous testing is not about being there from day one. There is certain transition to there. So what we start doing as a next step was that we basically try to augment some testing tools. We play with robot framework, we work on the Cypress ideas, we work with Playwright. And these days we are more, I would say, stabilized around the Playwright. And I would like to show you some ideas behind what we built as a first autonomous testing. So we said, okay, many people complain about maintaining the locators. So you need to write the locator to navigate to some specific page. So what about instead of that, we would have only short statement like navigate to login page. So instead of running this, I open the browser and maybe I record the locators because CodeGen from Playwright is pretty good on that. Or I need to collect the locators in traditional way. So let's forget about that and let's just write and type the plain English text. And this approach worked. And we were able to build some simple custom functions like navigating or simple atomic action, or we even could build some more complex filling form type of actions. So then I could get all the locators and even the test data could be generated. This is just demo how it works. I will skip that because I think it's not so interesting. And but what we could then achieve is that with completely different URL, we were able to navigate through the page and collect the screenshots. And if you remember, the idea of navigating through the pages or the website or the web apps and collecting the screenshots, this brings us to that visual testing and comparing the screens from the previous runs. So we had autonomous validations. We do not need to prescribe exactly what to do, but we still have a kind of strange approach in that area of interacting with the applications. So, but I felt like this might be still beneficial, because if I could just parse some specific feature file or any other type of human or plain English test case, then I could transfer it easily to navigation, and assertion might be by collecting the screenshots. Actually, the collecting the screenshots and all this visual validation idea turned into like one of our business we have, but that was not a part of the autonomous movement. With this challenge, with this approach, we had multiple challenges. It was not easy to repeat the scenario because sometimes the LLM didn't give us the same results. Sometimes we had some issues of speed because the LLMs were slow, and we had some limitations in the context because the HTML files become or were too big, and a lot of other stuff. So we said, okay, that might be a good step forward, but we need to find a better approach. So we started building something more robust. So we crawled the app as we did in past, but we said, okay, so maybe before we will have any test, anything prepared, we will just generate out of this automatically collected data some user stories. And then from the user stories, some people say, no, don't call it user stories. It's test stories or test flows. So whatever we will call it, that was basically understanding the business value, business purpose of the application. Then from that, we generate the tests, and from that, we generate the code. So that was the idea behind, and we just keep working on that and improving it to make sure that we will get some better results. But once we done this, we found out that there need to be review after each and every step. We cannot believe what we are getting. Sometimes even we need to regenerate the outputs to make sure that this will work well. So I just showing you what was the journey getting there, and we found out a lot of other challenges, other problems, but we still could collect the screenshots, then generate the user stories, and from that we generate the test cases. So this was the idea behind, and then we said, okay, we have everything now ready for the Playwright code, or maybe not. So what was the limitations to generate the Playwright code? We found out that there was some context missing. So for instance, the LLM suggests to submit the entire login screen and then check whether we are on the dashboard, but we were not, because there was no dashboard on the page. Or we were trying to fill in the fields of the credit card, but there was 4 fields instead of 1 in the app, and many others. So what we keep adding to that entire approach was basically three approaches. One was the reflecting actual HTML. So we just feed the LLM with HTML. And then we try to improve by introducing some new processes. One we call dry run, another one is expansion or expanding of the existing tests. By these 3, we could get more tests, more quality tests, and we could also improve the test code we were getting. So all these three approaches helps us to deliver better results, but we were still not there. And we felt like, okay, this is good. It's basically covering entire process. So we are not automating only test execution, but we are also focusing to automate entire process from test design and test analysis into testing. Humans need to still step in and modify and help us to improve that results. But even that would be only 40% or 60% of what we typically do. I felt like this will help us a lot of time. So I decided, let's push it further. Let's try to make it even better. So what we did, as one of the experiment, and it's available and it's open source, is that you could easily generate from URLs the user stories and all the things we basically packaged into simple terminal app. So you just run npm run crawl, or if you want to type it the entire command, it's npx playwright AI bot crawl, and the bot is crawling page, collects all the HTML, it minimizes it to make sure that we could use it with LLM, and then collects the screenshots, and basically it automatically prepares the data to navigate to the next step. So once this was done, the next one was to generate the stories. So I would just run npm run, and I'm getting stories. In Markdown file, we also have the alternative for JSON, but it's detail, not relevant for the sharing the idea. So once this was done, we were able to generate everything, including the code. I will just skip that. And we were able to run the code. Everything from VS Code without touching any UI, anything. It was pretty nice. And at the end, it looked like there is a potential to enhance it even further. And if you want to try it, I just share here the two links. I think the Playwright AI bot demo is the interesting one. You can clone it, install it, set your API key or Microsoft Azure keys, and then you can run it locally. And you can play with it and let me know what you think. I believe it's good prototype. I still call it early preview, but I believe we will enhance it even more in the future. So that was the first idea, but then something happened. We felt like, okay, we are doing a good job, we are close to the solution, but then AI agents was introduced, and we felt like, okay, we are talking about autonomous testing bots, but the market changed the terminology. Everyone is talking about AI agents. So are we building bots or agents, or what we are building? So let me share the ideas behind this one, because that might maybe help us to understand what is the next in the story or what will happen later. Almost every company is claiming nowadays that they are using AI, that everything is AI powered, and they have AI agents. But even what I showed you until now, it's not AI agent. Some marketing people would maybe say, this is AI agent, but it is not. So let me share with you some short definitions and then short demo as well. So what I would like to cover now in this part is what are the AI agents and what are the LLM workflows or apps, as they call it? What are the AI agents building blocks? And then what is the AI testing agent and how it works, including some demos. So let me start with LLM apps and AI agents, or sometimes, as they said, LLM workflows. First, the workflow itself. It's basically one call to the API, getting your response, or it could be some set of LLM calls where you are getting some result from the from LLM combining with some tools. The problem with this is that this is just the approach where you are getting result but in forms of text. But if we are talking about these LLM workflows, you might have multiple approaches. And if you're interested, just read this Anthropic article. It's pretty interesting, but we have no time to cover that. But let me now talk about the AI agent. Apart from the traditional LLM workflow, actually, it is also LLM workflow, but it could take maybe I'm just taking out the next slide, but it could basically take the high level task from the human, split it into smaller chunks, and then run it one by one and execute it. The biggest difference between previous ones and this one is that it could take some action based on the LLM instructions. So, as I said, LLM alone can't take actions. This is the definition. AI agents could. it receives the high-level task, then it reasons about it, and then decide about the actions and then execute the actions. This is the way how the AI agents work. I will show you some examples, and I'll show you also some definitions behind. So we will go deeper into the idea. So there will be hopefully another chance to get that idea if it's confusing from the first run. But basically, it's combined LLM planning ability with tools, and I will explain what is the planning ability and what is the tool and what is the reasoning and so on. I will skip few of the slides, and then let me just tell you or share with you that there are a few definitions about the agency levels. So it's pretty confusing, but still there are multiple sources, and I brought a few here. If you're interested about the idea, it's good idea to follow Hugging Face. They have some nice definition about the agency levels. Similar here is from LangChain. I just brought it here for your reference if you're interested. And then, of course, I couldn't miss this opportunity to pull up my old slide where we are also talking about testing autonomous levels. And it's, I would say, still pretty theoretical, but it's good basis for future discussion and going more into detail and more practical, maybe challenging questions at the end. So let's now discuss about AI agents building blocks. So in order to build this autonomous application, which could decide themselves and could basically pull out any tools required, we need to have some building blocks. And these building blocks are, at least in my slides, it could be structured differently. One is planning and reflection, which is basically the master LLM flow. And then we have some tools, memory, and then there are some multi-agent architectures. I will not go too much detail in that last one. So first, planning and reflection in AI agent. This is basically functionality where AI agent could plan and could decompose the given goal into smaller sub-goals to reduce the complexity and improve the efficiency. Then it could also reflect and refine. So if it fails, if some sub-goal or subtask is failing, it could try to rerun or even try some alternative approach to do so. It's part of the definition, but this is something what you could configure as a part of your agent. What I would like to also stress out here is that there are plenty of already existing algorithms and tools. So basically for us, it's not so important to deeply understand how it works. The basic principles are important to follow and understand, and then we just need to understand the API, how we could use these type of features in your AI agents. So what's the important from this planning and reflection? It's goal decomposition as one of the feature or one of the behavior, then self-reflection, and this help us basically to deal with the complex tasks and improve that over time. Then one of the topic which might be interesting from that algorithm is chain of thought. And this is basic. I decided to take only or pull out only this topic. It's basically fine-tuning the existing model that it does not give you straight away the answer, but it enforces the model to first think about it, or at least explain or reason how the results is given back to us. So this is just another example which might be interesting for you to learn a bit more about. Again, the link, so if you're interested, you could go there. Now let's talk about another building block, which is tools. Tools could be split into two, symbolic and neural. And again, until now, it's pretty theoretical, but this will be very practical to understand what is behind and how it works. So basically, we could provide to LLM the tools, and the LLM agent or AI agent could call these tools when it's needed. So, and then we have a couple of traditional tools, and I was trying to give you the testing examples, or at least UI, web UI test examples. Even I have some maybe non web UI examples here. One of the tool might be any algorithms. It might be Playwright open browser, or Playwright click on some button. It could be APIs like seeding the database with our testing data, or getting some test data, but it could be also neural, which are basically other AI-powered tools, either based on LLM or machine learning. So this is basically it about the tools. That's so simple. It's just, you can imagine it as a set of simple functions you can call. And last, or not last, the third component here is the memory. So in order to make this AI agent efficient, we need to handle multiple types of memories. One is, or I will just quickly go through them. One is the sensory, which is basically nothing else than prompt. So whatever you are providing in that prompt are your data you are using. Then there are some shorter or short-term memories, which is actually actually the session of that chat window, if I would now compare it with some chatting, but it could be any memory you store in that certain flow. In our case, this will be whatever happened during the test execution. It do not necessarily need to be chat, but the chat is simple example where it's happening. And then there are some long-term memories, and there are basically three main types. One is the training data and everything which is inbuilt in the model. Then there is something which we call fine-tuning. We're just taking the existing model and all what's in, and on top of that, we are building extra layer with using some fine-tuning. And the last one is RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. I just decided to explain two principles. One is this RAG, and another one, I believe I left there, the fine-tuning. But time flies, so I'll be trying to be very quick. So what is this RAG stands for? It's, as I said, retrieval augmented generation, and it basically combines LLM with some external database. How it works, I'll just quickly switch to the schema. So whenever I call prompt to get the response, there is some extra call to database to fetch some relevant data which could be injected into that prompt. It's super simplified, it's a bit more complex, but we are basically taking extra data and enriching the prompt with the data, and then asking the LLM model to generate the response. It's, as I said, it's much more complex, but to make it super simple, this is how it works. How it helps us. One is the context size. So sometimes we cannot put all the data we have into the context window, even we are using Geminis, which have pretty nice big context windows. And also it's helping us to add extra data on top of already available from the training. So we can always bring the fresh data, because the database we are fetching from might be some kind of living document. It could be our CRM system. It could be, I don't know, intranet with some company policies. It could be set of PDFs transformed into some format, then we can fetch it or provide it to LLM. So this is the RAG and how it helps the LLM. And then the fine-tuning is another approach. So if you need to improve the efficiency of your model, you could combine something about 20 to 50 high-quality examples and then just push it to the model, and you can fine-tune and improve the response on using this fine-tuning. There is some instruction how to do it in OpenAI. I could skip that. And the last component here is multi-agent architectures. So in order to make these agents efficient, one of the approaches that we need to make them as small as possible to isolate the task and goals, and then we need to chain them or somehow connect them. And there are multiple approaches how to do so, and multiple tools to do that. But if you are interested in that, this is just another reference slide. You could go into that area or into that link to get the more view on that. Actually, there is a lot of going on these days. Yesterday, OpenAI announced the Day framework or Day open source library for building agents. So it will be pretty interesting to look on them as well. It's not only about the multi-agents, but all these building blocks probably will be there available. This is the list of the tools which are available and could be ready to build your own AI agents. I will quickly go further because we have a few more minutes to cover the rest. So what about the AI testing agents? Is there any special difference, or is there any difference? I don't think so, but let me just quickly build the same slide as I did for the AI agents. What I believe, apart from the previous one, is that one of the extra tasks of this agent is to evaluate the outcomes. And the tricky question is how to do so. I will show you what I built as a first experiments, but I believe this is something important when you are building your AI testing agents. So let me move on to first AI testing demo. And I felt like, okay, maybe this might be something what would be interesting for you. So I'm building simple testing agent, and now I'm trying to convert the theory into practice. So I'm building some tools. I'm building tool for start testing, get page elements, click on some element, fill, select, analyze, report issue, and close browser. So these are my tools. And I decided that I will not build any other complexity into that simple testing agent, but I took these tools and I was running the same app against the same app I was using for the presentation of the crawler, which is a simple e-commerce demo app. And I run it in a way that I provide a prompt, which is, we call it system prompt, and then we have something what we call user prompt, or basically test case. And don't sorry for how to say it, calling this prompt as a test case, because it's not really test case, but let's say this is the test I would like to do. I would like to log in and with valid credentials. How it worked, I need to build an agent. As I said, I'm running this agent to do so. I'm feeding all the data, providing the prompts, deciding about the model, and then I'm also running something at the end of each step to collect the results of the step and to see what's going on there in my reporter. So how it works, you could see on the right side the terminal. So I basically execute the first step, which is start testing. And on the right side is the terminal. On the left side, you could see the screen with the browser. And it might be a bit confusing or a bit messy. So that's because of that, I decided to make it even more messy. So in the middle, you could see the steps. So if you cannot read it because it's too small, each and every step on the right side is just copy paste in the middle, and you can see what agent decided to do as a first, second, third step based on the prompt. I provided the system prompt and then the user prompt or tests. So this just executes the steps and trying to log in. It's logged in. You can see there is logout on the top right corner of the screen. And then I'm validating that by step 11, I have screenshot and analyze, which I'm basically taking the screenshot and asking LML whether I am logged in. So this is basically the first demo. Let's move on to the second one. But before that, there are a few challenges. I felt like, okay, maybe this is something I could simplify. So what we did, or what I was thinking about, it might be pretty heavy maintenance. It lacks of the repeatability because AI agents could always decide differently. There is no traceability, so probably I would need to store the data somewhere and track it. It could be used some report portal or even, I don't know, Jira, Zephyr or Testomat IO to do so. So we basically need to find the tool to store the test results, and that's why I thought, okay, how we could use this idea, because I still feel like it's a good move, but even it's good move, it's not still good enough. So that's why I decided to go even further with the next demo. And I'm basically combining this simple agent with our approach of generating the tests. So what I'm doing as a next one, I am building multiple agents. We have some AI crawler, business analyst, test developer, and test executor. And these agents are accessible via UI, via API, and it means API in a matter of REST calls, but also CLI, so from terminal, and from Playwright code as well. So we are trying to combine all these ideas together to make sure that this will work as a one team of AI agents, and it's split into smaller chunks. So, and then I generate this. Basically, I'm repeating the story. I'm generating the user stories, test cases, and test scripts, but these agents work for me to make sure they are efficient, and I'm isolating each and every task to make sure that I'm getting most efficient results. And some people ask about these HTML files and the screenshots, whether this is the only way to do so. No, there are multiple other approaches. You can use your specification, you can use Figma files, you can use Jira tickets, commit messages, but you need to always tweak these inputs to make that outputs efficient. And it's heavily data dependent. You need to find the data. You can try to automate the collection or generation of the data, but it's super important. And this is something what I'm saying in general. It's not about the other tool. If you are committed to build something like this, the data are super important to make it efficient. So this is the way how we are now building that part of the product. We basically crawl the app, collect the screenshots, and once we have it, then we could run the agents across multiple stages. So I'm just selecting the crawling data, and then I generate the user stories in the second column, and then test cases in the third, and Playwright code at the end. I just don't want to spend too much time on it. I just want to show you that's another approach how you could do it. You could combine it with the code, but we are trying also to deliver the user experience where everything is behind some UI. And your UI might be completely different. It could be Jira or something else. I will just move on. At the end, you are getting the tests again in UI based, or you could generate it into Playwright. But I think I don't want to spend too much time on this. If you are interested, there is another demo on our VOPIO YouTube channel explaining how we build a small Playwright agent for Revolut app, like a banking app, with all these, in quotes, real automation challenges. Actually, it was nothing too complicated, but the Revolut has their two captchas. It's opening some new tabs and so on. So typically, this is something you need to handle and in traditional automation. So if you are interested in that, there is 4-minute video to watch later about another approach we were working on, and we are still enhancing that. So let me now talk about the future, because you saw from the stupid crawler comparing the screenshot through something to generate in single calls LLM into something where we have multiple calls integrated into AI agents, which are deciding about what will be first, second, third step. And it could be dynamic based on your prompt, and even these prompts could be generated, so you don't need to write them down, so your test could be generated. What will be the future? And to be honest, I just put this here to ask you, what will be the future? What are the next steps? How it will be moved? Is it a new era, or we just enhancing automation? Do we need to build all these things, or maybe we will have one model to prompt and we get everything back. So to be honest, I don't know. I'm really passionate about the topic. I love to talk about this, but I decided to bring a few ideas at least here to share with you. So as I said, autonomous testing, not sure how it'll be at the end, but we believe we could make it humanless and probably AI could make it easier. Levels of autonomous testing. This is something I believe the future will be full automation or fully autonomous. But this is something for the discussion rather than telling you this is the future. I believe this will happen. My big question when and how it will look like. But there are also a lot of rumors out there. One is someone says that SaaS, software as a service, is dead. Not someone, it was actually CEO of Microsoft. And then a lot of people laugh on vibe coding. I don't know whether you heard about this vibe coding. It's basically prompting what you need and you are getting the code. There are plenty of tools these days. And many people argue, but that this is just hello world. But once it will enhance, we will not need any SaaS companies because we will just prompt what we need as a tool and we will get that. So the application will become super cheap, or the code will become super cheap. It will be free. How we will cope with that in testing? Is it the same or different? I don't know. That's my question. I'm just raising a lot of questions now. I post test one provocative post on LinkedIn, I think 2 weeks ago. The test automation is broken. And I felt like, okay, I am interested what people think about it, because if we generate so much code, if I could become a, I don't know, C# developer, or almost overnight, it's stupid not to use these tools wisely, of course. And I'm asking, okay, is it the better record and play feature or something else? I don't know. I just think we need to get ready for the future. And I have a lot of patience, a lot of excitement, but I have a lot of questions, how it will look like, what to focus on. So tell me in comments if you know what will happen, whether we will have a new approach or we will just improve what we already have. And some people say there is no UI need anymore. So I was thinking, okay, why I'm building this? If we don't test web anymore, it will be API calls. But I expect that there will be a lot of standardization. And I don't know whether you heard about this model context protocol, which is something which Anthropic is trying to push through and make sure that it will be heavily adopted. So there are many questions and rumors, as I said on the slide. But the question is, what and how will the future look like? And I don't know. So I would like to just quickly summarize. I hope I'm on time. I was trying to deliver some story. I was talking about initial ideas, then about AI agents and the new era which is coming, and a lot of storm around, which I don't know what will bring, but it will definitely impact us. And I would like to be part of that party, if I could call it in that way, because I believe this has a huge potential. We just need to find the best fit to our daily work in testing. And I believe it brings a lot. And with that, I would like to just thank you that you came and watch my show, or at least you was with us. Maybe you was doing something else, but thank you very much for being here, and hope you enjoy my talk. And let's connect on LinkedIn and discuss it there or during the Q&A session now. But I believe there is much more than we could cover now in remaining 5 minutes.
There's always so much more we can always get into. Marcel, thank you very much for this. This is fantastic. I did do a little shout out to your YouTube channel on our LinkedIn over there. So if anybody is looking through on LinkedIn, I'm going to go copy it over also onto our, I said LinkedIn. I really meant to say, um, I really meant to say YouTube, but I'm putting it out on LinkedIn over there. I got a couple of hearts and thanks. By the way, everybody stick around. We have another speaker coming up here. That's Marcus Merrill. And Marcel, we're going to ask and see if we can go back to a couple of questions that we saw. And I did promise, I think it was, let me see who was asking one question. And now they're all saying thank you, and it's all rolling over the screen. By the way, shout out to Jonathan Wright, who is watching us. I'm always a big fan of Jonathan and his sites out there. Let me see, if I can. Oh, here we go. It was Tanya. So Tanya was asking, is Whoopi collecting the selectors following the Playwright documentation selectors locators best practices and regenerating selectors if the layout selectors change? And in my field, I call it clever coding. So go ahead, Marcel.
In our past version or our old version, we had some other selector strategy. So we didn't follow that. And to be honest, Playwright announced like last 1 year, or I don't know whether it's last year, but I remember there was some announcements and they changed the good practice, like or recommendation, what should be used. So we could follow that. I think we are not so strict on that, but if you would need to make it like more strict, we could set it up in that way. And the second one was whether we could regenerate the locators. Of course, that's not innovation anymore. That's an old idea. The self-healing and all this stuff, it's old one. You just need to discuss whether and how and when it's wise to use and when it's maybe a stupid approach. But yeah, self-healing is something. It's traditional automation, I would say.
Awesome. We got Daniel Ortiz is asking, what about interacting with web canvas? Is it doable?
In short, I don't know. We could try. I never try. We never had that type of requirement yet. But I would love to try. If you give me some access to your app, let's build a demo for that. Or I don't promise to building the demo. At least I could try, and then let's see. Maybe we will fail.
Hey, Daniel, me and Marcel are both experimenters. So the same thing goes out to me. If you DM me, and actually anybody watching this, DM us. I'm sure Marcel is always happy to answer any questions out there. I'm always an experimenter. I love to do this. Let's see. Can we use, this is Guyana? Can we use some NPM packages to generate Playwright locators? Is it available?
There is the NPM package I was talking about. It generates the Playwright code, and I don't know. There is no feature like give me just locators. But if you need the locators from Playwright, there is nice feature, this code gen, which you could use. It's nice UI. You open your browser, you navigate there and collect the locators. And it's pretty good. I remember the times like Selenium IDE and before, it was kind of strange what we were getting from there. There was even the self-healing, but I think CodeGen from Playwright does a good job for that. I don't know whether that was the question, how to get the locators, but that would be my advice.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Marcel. I'm actually going to jump back over to that question we had from Daniel because I now have a better understanding. What he's asking is if you have a web page that doesn't have any web locators, and I know there's a type of framework, it's just images, and I cannot think of the name at the moment. If anybody comes up with what I'm talking about, can you interact with? Can you work with a page that Flutter is the name that I'm thinking of? Could you
Uh-huh.
work with a Flutter website? That's the challenge. I think that
Actually, whatever is regular HTML, but this is more, we are using Playwright, so whatever Playwright could do, we could do. So that's in short, that would be the answer. But if even the benefit of our approach, I believe, is that even the HTML under the hood is horrible, our generator try to somehow deal with it. I would never give that HTML to human tester to automate it because of the locators. But with this approach, you can just ask the generator to give you the locator. It'll be horrible as the HTML provided, but still could somehow figure out how to deal with it. And you can, and the regeneration is cheap in terms of you don't need to handle that like opening inspector or whatever, or code gen to do so. You just call the LLM to say, this is wrong, I need a new one. Please give me some options. And we could easily generate that. But I'm not saying that always that's the best approach. Build your software wisely, and then it's easier to automate, I would say. But yeah, we could deal with let's say a bit complicated applications as well.
And our next speaker, Marcus Merrill, is actually recommending computer vision approach. I would throw it at OCR. I've also seen some successes with AI vision where it actually takes a look at it. And I can also see Daniel is looking at some gaming application. He's probably working on testing. Hey, Marcus, good to see you again, man.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. It's
All
perfect.
right, fantastic.
All right. So we're proposing a roundtable where 3 automation engineers get together and hash out some stuff, which is on the fly. I don't have anything prepped, so I think it was one of your guys' ideas to do this. I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
I think it was mine. I'm sorry.
No, it's no problem, Marcus.
Cool. Well, yeah, it's great to meet you, Marcel. I know I've seen you online quite a bit.
Nice to meet you too.
It's great. I'm really interested in what you've got here, and I'm curious what you've found in terms of. I like the fact that you traced out how you created the tool and the thought processes you went through in order to arrive at some of the conclusions you arrived at. Because as people who are about to stick around for my talk will hear, if you don't have a company that's building AI tools with any amount of transparency, you should have some red flags. And I appreciate that you're being transparent about how you're approaching it. And I guess I wanted to ask, what I always worry about with low code AI augmented testing tools, I always worry about losing tester intent and losing human intent. And it feels like you've had to go through the ringer on this before. And I'm wondering, have you seen practical success since switching to this sort of use case? It's almost like an agent that acts like the user, which is separate from the agent that generates the code. And I want to dig in a little bit more on how that's worked out in practicality, because I love that idea.
Yeah, I think the agents are good as like test automation engineers building the code. But once you have the code, I wouldn't run it in this agentic mode. I would run it like simple code, like traditional automation, because then you can it's quick as the automation code, and you are having like a transparency and repeatability of that. If you run it as an agent, you don't know what will happen. If something fails, you try to retry and or find other path, but it's not the same test. But this is I would say, I wouldn't say traditional, let's call it traditional view. So
Uh-oh. We may have lost Marcel there.
There we are.
We lost you for about 5 seconds, Marcel. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my view on one side, that let's turn this AI into traditional approach, run it, and then get back with the results. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, okay, but what if the new era should look completely different? And I don't know whether this would happen. But do we need the test cases? Do we need the test code? Or maybe we just need the bugs? this is a big question for myself. I 20 years I'm in software testing. I'm building to follow some principles, some structures. But is this still valid, or how this will change with this AI approach? Maybe it won't. I don't know. But this is my storm in my head.
Understood. I think that to me the big thing, and I'm about to talk about this for quite a while. I also appreciate that approach in terms of controlling token cost, because as a preview, token cost is not something that you should trust to remain as low as it is right now. And so I appreciate that when you're using the agents and the AI for what they're good for, and you're not forcing them into every part of the product, because that's going to make your internal costs going to go up. It's going to create non-deterministic results. It's going to introduce a whole lot of variability. And so yeah, I appreciate the fact that you're limiting the AI to what it's really good at. And I think that's a very thoughtful approach.
Yeah, I think that the cost issue is not, or won't be there anymore, because this is turning off the cost of electricity and hardware. With the open source models and all the things now, it's like, okay, it's for free. You just need to have a powerful machine, which is a matter of time when this will happen or we will have all the better machines to run it locally. So I think this will be disappearing. But I think this what did you say? That being able to trace what happened and being able to repeat that, I think this is important. This cannot be solved by or within the LLM models. Or you would tweak the model in such a way that it wouldn't be LLM model anymore. You would dictate what it should do. Then you don't need the feature there.
Well, I think we're definitely going to do some experimentation, Marcel. You and me, let's get together. Send me a meeting. I want to see more of the. Is it pronounced Whoopi or Whoopi? Whoopi. Okay, cool. Yeah. And I'd like to do the Candy Mapper challenge on that. We'll talk a little bit about the offline, and I'm going to ask you. Say thank you, Marcel, for joining us. I'm going to let you go, give you back a few minutes so you can get to that next meeting. And thank you for joining us. We'll definitely have you back.